Sunny, sir, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello everyone, my name is Sunny and I'm the founder and director at Star. I'm a person who figured out passion for space at a very young age of 10 years, and since then I've always wanted to be a space pioneer. Unfortunately, I was not so good at my academics, so I was not able to be a part of any of the space company. And then that is the reason I started working towards solving a problem of having a platform in India where aspiring space pioneers can come and they can build products and they can learn and they can grow. And also to make, like, I have a vision of making space accessible to everyone at a very affordable cost.
Okay, so Sunny bhai, how is life going?
Life is going good. Each day is exciting, and like, have a very strong reason of waking up early and getting back to work because there's a lot much to do, and enjoying the each day struggle of startup life, and also enjoying that struggle. Just looking forward to more exciting days that are going to be there in upcoming month.
What important truths do very few people agree with you on? As like previously, when we asked this question, you said like there are so many people who don't believe that space is for everyone.
Yeah, the first thing a lot of people do not agree on is, why to put so much money for space. A lot of people, they believe that we live in a world where we have a lot of troubles, we have a lot of problems and issues to be solved, and one should not working towards space and should purely focus towards solving the problems on Earth. I think this is one of the things which is very much misunderstood. The second thing is related to education. A lot of people, they misunderstand the concept of education. We get confused with education with qualification, which is a very wrong thing. So this is one thing when most of the people nowadays are not like believing that skill is more important, and focusing towards growing your soft skill is more important than just getting a degree.
And like I was seeing this video on Instagram. Okay, it was a random video, like people hating billionaires for going into space. As you already know, like Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos went to space recently. So people were saying, okay, like we don't have food to feed everyone right now, and people are going to space, and why they are spending billions of dollars in space, they should work on Earth.
So it's definitely going to happen. So like as you mentioned, that this is what we have seen here. A lot of people, they were cursing them for for this mission where Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson, they went into space, and a lot of people, they believe that why to put so much money into space when we have so many problems here on Earth. But if we see, then like we use space technology in day-to-day life, we use satellites data for navigation. We're doing this podcast shoot right now using internet, which we are getting from satellites. Like a lot of lives are saved every year by just predicting the weather by data that we get from the satellites. So the thing is, working in space is, it's no different than working for Earth. And as you mentioned that one have to push the frontier. Like we humans, there's one thing which differentiates humans and other animals, that is the curiosity. And humans are always curious to know what exists in this universe, how this universe was formed, and the ways to discover different things in the world. And technology plays a very crucial role into this. And to build technology, you need to invest a lot of human potential and money as well, right? So putting money into any research is never going to be a waste. It's always going to give you an output which is going to be beneficial, not for only humans but for all living organisms which are there.
Okay, so Sunny bhai, according to you, what important steps, or let's say, what steps do you take before taking a major decision or an important decision?
It's very important thing. Like first thing, without having any experience in of doing a job where you have seen someone taking decisions, it becomes very difficult for one person to actually think of selecting one particular way. But this is what we usually do, that is fix where you want to reach or what things you want to achieve through your work. Once you have a target, now the only thing you need to do is you need to figure out how you want to reach there, and there are multiple options for that. The best way to do is by looking at your current situation, where how much resource you have got so far, and how big is your team, what are the skills you have got, and based on that you can take a decision. Now a lot of people, they actually make a mistake here. They actually fix their end goal by thinking of their current situation. That is not how things work. I'm not talking about fixing your goal based on your current situation. I'm talking about deciding what should be the first step, and that depends on your current situation right now, the first step. So you can think of things that you want to achieve. It can be hypothetical, but your first step depends on your current situation. You need to fix, as I mentioned, you need to have an accountability of all the resources you have got, access to the mentors, your team, your skill set, everything together. So that is what matters a lot for first step. Now, as we know that you cannot figure out whether a decision you're taking right now is wrong or right. The only thing what you can do is you can learn from your bad decision and just be very flexible and can adopt to the environment and just keep moving. That is what is very important. It's like you're traveling. This is an example I always give, that if you want to travel from Surat to Ahmedabad, which is a 300 kilometers journey during the night time in a car, your headlight cannot help you in looking at the road for 300 kilometers. Your headlight would fall for just few meters, but in that vision of few meters, you complete a journey of 300 kilometers. Sometimes in a road, you'll get the divergence, you'll get some obstacles, but what you do is you don't stop. You slow down, you take a turn, and then you somehow manage to overcome the challenge you face, and then you reach to your destination. That is how thing goes in the life and the professional life as well. So bad decisions are also important, and good decisions are also important, and they both are important if you learn something from it.
I want to ask this question. Okay, I've asked this maybe to 100 people, and I always get different answers. So it's one of my favorite questions. If you believe in free will or not?
See, to be honest, now this is really challenging to answer, but like I do believe so. Based on the intuition, if you say there are a lot of things. There's some situations which make you believe, and there's some situations which doesn't. So it's really difficult to answer this, but I think I'm gonna be on the safer side and be very diplomatic about this, being on one side. It's similarly if someone asks me, do you believe in God or not? These questions are really challenging to answer, and there would be some time in your life when you actually believe in an energy which is there. There would be some time that where you don't believe at all into these. It's similar to if you ask a student, they would definitely believe in God during exams, but after that they won't. So I really stay diplomatic for such things.
What is science to you?
So yeah, like science is basically, like if you're asking, then science is basically discovering the thing which already exists. So I always compare science with arts. See, what is the job of an artist? An artist is a person who convey a message to people in the form of arts. It can be performing arts or it can be any other form of art. And similar way, science works actually. The things which exist in the universe that we humans are not aware of, we discover them, and then we tend to understand it in our language, that is mathematics. Scientists, they communicate in the form of in the language of mathematics. Science is all about, it's not about when we say about creating something, no matter if you talk about inventions, you talk about innovations, it's nothing, it's just about connecting two different ideas. Even like you cannot build something which doesn't exist in the universe. You cannot build something with the things which are not existing in the universe. In the end, you're combining things and you're forming a new thing, which is invention or innovation. That is what we call. So science for me is just about discovering, whatever exists and just, communicating it in the way that people can understand. It can be arts, it can be in the form of mathematical equation.
I want to ask you the other question too. So, like, as we came to this topic of science, like, what are the best part of studying in school? We know, like, the education system sucks and everything, but apart from that, what are the best part? I'm not talking about that part where you hang out with your friends, but like, in terms of growth and mental development, what are the best parts according to you?
So to be honest, right now, when I was in school, there were not much extracurricular activities that are going on. And nowadays in school, if you see, you have courses which are based on artificial intelligence, you have courses that are based on programming, you have got courses that are based on humanity. So students are nowadays are introduced to a lot of domains which were like we were not aware of. Second thing, what I've seen is there are two things which are happening right now. One, on the one side, the students, like if they get stuck at any point, they have a direct access to the solution for all the problems. That is internet. So nowadays, students, they get the answers for whatever point they are stuck, and they just go and on Google, they search and they get the answer. And that is what have degraded the skill of critical thinking. That is what we say. Like if you see, then a lot of people previously they were able to come up with more theories, mathematical equations, and more innovations and inventions, just because they used to invest a lot of time in understanding the systems, describing it in their way, and solving the problems based on the solution, based on their approach, basically. Nowadays, you see, you'll find a very common solution amongst everyone, because the thing is, most of the solutions are inspired by the solution which is on internet. So which have degraded this thing. But on the other side, I've seen few young people like you who are taking initiatives and making the best use of internet by connecting with people, by collaborating, and by reaching out to different people and communicating science with them. So there are two sides of this, and this all is happening in school. So previously, this used to happen after graduation, where people used to get into profession. But nowadays, school students, I've seen them doing podcasts, having their own YouTube channel, recording things, and promoting science everywhere and various domains. So I think there are two sides of the coin, and similarly, there are two different things. Again, this is a diplomatic answer, to be honest, but it depends purely on an individual. So I won't say that today's education is good for students or not. It's all about how much efforts you are putting. So I'll again stay very neutral into this. I won't say it's education system is very bad or very good. I'll stay neutral for this, and it purely depends on the individual. If someone wants to learn and grow, I think they have access to all the resources. They can do it on their own.
Mhm. Okay, this made me thought of a question. Okay, it's not in the list, but I want to ask. As you were born in a pre-smartphone era, and even I was born in a pre-smartphone era. Okay, so have you ever thought of this? Like, if I were born with these resources, I would have utilized it in a different manner. Because obviously, if you're being born in a era where you have already access to this, maybe you won't respect that thing, and you will not take that very seriously, and you will not think of the potential of that thing.
Again, it's very difficult to predict, just because I don't know whether you know about chaos theory, where a minor change in the system would result into a lot of chaos.
Hmm.
So that doesn't mean, like, even if a minor change into my action in past would have resulted in something else today. So, but still, if I have to predict it, if I was given access to internet, if I was given access to smartphones in my childhood, I think I would not have developed the skill of critical thinking.
Hmm.
Just because one thing I've experienced right now, like, let's say, if I ask someone to, like, if you ask someone to wake up early in the morning, they would definitely use alarm for waking up early. But I have, like, I and one of my team member, we have a habit of waking up early without having any alarm set. So the thing is, that happened because we are habituated now. Our body is habituated. The second thing is, nowadays you have Google Calendar to schedule all meetings, right? So you are completely dependent on technology, which is on one side is good, but on the other side you are compromising on your strength, which was supposed to be there.
Hmm.
So now, if there is some issue and if I don't get a notification about my upcoming meeting, I might forget, and then now someone would say why one should remember meetings, but I think these are the responsibilities. These are the small things one need to remember. So we are completely dependent on Google calendars, and that is, and if you see, like, nowadays students are dependent on calculator. So previously, if you ask someone, the older people, they can calculate things in their mind. They can calculate
Yeah.
the heavy figures in their mind. But today we are completely dependent on calculators. So some places, technology have made us lazy. That's good. So, some unproductive work we don't need to do. We have machines for that. It's completely fine. Humans should focus on doing something new and productive. But just because one is completely dependent on technology, humans have stopped even focusing towards improving their thinking ability and skill of critical thinking, which is very necessary nowadays. So for anything, there would be always two sides, and here in this case as well, like, if I was given access to technology, I would not. I would be completely dependent on it, and I would not have grown my skill of critical thinking at that point.
So, Sunny bhai, what were the lowest points in your career and how did you tackle them? Like when you hit the rock bottoms.
Yeah, there were many actually. Like, the first time when I actually felt that I'm losing my career now, that was when I realized I'm not eligible to apply for ISRO. In 2015 or 14, when I was into second or third year of my graduation, I realized that like, I got backlogs. So I just realized that I cannot apply for ISRO, and I always wanted to work for ISRO. I always wanted to contribute to Indian space program. So that was the first time I I was really depressed, and I was just thinking of losing my dream of doing something, and I was feeling really bad. But then later on, when I said that when you're really passionate about something, you find out your own way to do things, and that is what I started focusing. Then there were other things, like when you work on rockets, which are really complex at some point. So you face some challenges. You fail it. You fail. You face some technical errors as well. So it was during initial days. It was really difficult when we were working on rockets and they were not lifting off from the pad. So it was really difficult for us to understand the reason behind the failures, to analyze and to come up with a solution. So initially it was really tough. But then, I think you keep experiencing such setbacks, it becomes an habit for you, and then you just get habituated with all the failures. And then, as I mentioned that, like, we got habituated with the same, and like, since like this is the 6th year of our operations, and and it's still, going on, and every day is a new challenge, every day is a new struggle and a setback. But it's all about, the real fun is just overcoming them, and like solving them and overcoming them.
And like even you are inspiration for the students who didn't score very well in examination but still accomplished a lot of things, like as you said, like you didn't score very well and you weren't eligible for ISRO. So there must be some student listening to this podcast and must be thinking, okay, maybe I can start something similar, not specifically in this sector but maybe in something similar, like in the market which is not existing yet. And now I'm going to ask my favorite question. Like, can you elaborate your idea of building the school? Like you told us about the idea of the patent school.
Yeah, so we have a vision that, like, education, not only space education, but education should be accessible to everyone. It's a basic human right, and there are a lot of countries where people are still struggling getting the education. Once you educate people, you're actually developing their, you know, like, intellectual skills, and these, like, generation, they get thousands and thousands of ideas in their mind, and these ideas are their intellectual properties. So we really see a future where, first thing, every young mind get the access to education. Secondly, they get an opportunity to work on their, ideas. They can build their products, services, and processes. They can give it to hundreds of users for the experience, and in the end they can hold the, rights for the same, so that, to ensure that, the innovation that they have done, it remains in a safe hands, and then the people who have worked should get the credit for the same, and also to ensure that the innovations, they keep on happening. So this is the vision that we hold, and I think we need many startups, we need many clubs, we need many initiatives and teams working towards this vision, and then I think it can be achieved.
So, Sunny bhai, what are your views on space exploration?
Space exploration is, something, like, which is fascinating. So we're not just going, just like, first thing, it's surely fascinating. Like, one most common dream that you'll find among the young mind is becoming an astronaut, becoming, a space scientist, just because, there are a lot of unknown and unanswered questions which are there, and I think to answer them, we need a lot of human potential to work on, work towards space exploration. On the other hand, like, space never fails in surprising us with the, like, like, you have in astronomy, you have cosmology, you have got, human exploration there on different planets, you have got space tech, space engineering. So, like, it's a multidisciplinary thing, and I think which is very much needed. We live on a rock where we have very limited resources, and on some day, like, we will be running out of resource. So we need, other planets to, get more and more resource, and to keep the human life, and we all, like, to keep the life going. So basically, space exploration is not just about, exploring what is existing or what happened in the past, but it's also about, defining the future for life.
What do you think about the future of quantum computing?
Quantum is a weird world, and I really like space exploration, but also I like the small world of quantum. It's, counterintuitive world where a lot of things are still to be understood, and even I cannot even call myself a beginner into this, because there's a lot to explore, and still the, all the engineering things that we have built around the quantum world is still into the classical world. So even the quantum computers, they are very much classical right now. The front and the back of the quantum computers, you'll find the classical computers. So the thing is, quantum computing, the way we see them today, I think it's very good. It's very much different than what we expect them to be. But quantum computing is going to help us in, revealing a lot of things about this universe, right from medicine, from space tech, from to, figuring out, the nature of this universe. I think quantum computers can help us out. And recently, I posted on social media as well, about the partial derivatives. They
Yeah,
are
yeah,
very difficult
PD.
to solve in. Yes, so PDs are very difficult to solve right now. And like we solve them, in a sequential orders, but in reality the universe is not working in a sequential order. Everything is going on parallelly. So quantum computers, they have this feature of parallelism where you can have multiple operations going on together. So I think that is one of the properties of quantum particles that can be used, and PDs can be solved in a better way in the quantum computing. But still, it's a very early stage. A lot, a lot to be done, and I think in next 10 to 15 years we would be having quantum computers in real life application as well. Very soon. Nowadays it's there in security, but still you don't get to see it everywhere. But I think in 10 to 15 years we'll see a tremendous growth in this domain.
So, what things do you still get scared of?
My mom? No, just kidding. Um, I'm not. I'm just scared of a future where I see, like students not focusing towards their skills. To be honest, like when you see a country like India, like this is what I've seen in last 3 weeks, that Indian defense have been completely dependent on, at least in the terms of technology, we are dependent on other nations, and we have been buying a lot of stuff from other countries and building our aircrafts and building all our, defense stuffs. I think in a country where you have a population of 1.4 billion, if you need to buy things from outside, I think our country have not evolved in a better way in terms of technology. So I'm really scared of a future where I see this, going on continuously, where India need to just keep on buying things from other countries and being dependent on them. I think India have a very high potential where if all young minds in India, they start focusing towards having a vision and working towards enhancing their skills, and solving one issue of country, I think a lot can be achieved. Our economy would grow, lifestyle of people would improve. We can reduce in the number of depression cases that we are getting in the country. Everyone would be happy. So I'm really scared of the future where I see that students are not being self-reliant and they are still just focusing on getting good grades and moving out of the country and getting a good job in other nations and just getting settled down. I think that's never going to help the nation. We are always going to be dependent, and it's not good. It's all about nation security. It took a lot of struggles to get this freedom, and it's our job as engineers, as young minds of the country, to ensure that this freedom remains in our hands, safe. So I think I'm really scared of this future, yeah, that where I see young minds not focusing towards building things for India and not focusing towards their like improving their skills.
So, this is a hypothetical question, but I just want to know your views on space mining.
I think it's going to be a requirement in future because, as I mentioned, the way we are using resources on Earth, it's we are losing a lot of things. So we need to find out asteroids, we need to find out planets, we need to find out different places in this solar system where we can go and we can mine out things and we can get them on Earth. So space mining is definitely going to be the future, and I think companies should start focusing towards finding out the asteroids with the required minerals and start focusing on designing the missions for acquiring the minerals from those asteroids. So I think yeah, it's needed, much needed right now.
What if we give you $1 million and then you have 2 months, including non-working days? So what technology or service would you like to work on? And the condition is that the technology or service should not be pre-existing.
If you give me 1 million, it's going to be very clear. I'll focus on developing a rocket which is specifically for students. Right now we have many launch vehicles in the world, but even the cheapest one, students cannot afford them without getting a crowdfund or without raising a heavy funds. So I think I would definitely focus towards building a very simple rocket, no major innovation, just giving a direct access to the students coming into space. So that is a very clear thing, and that is what we are working on right now, and that is the right place where I would invest.
So, this is a bit personal, but who is your favorite Indian physicist or Indian physics scientist, you could say?
This is difficult. There are many, like not only physicists but even mathematicians, if you call, and it's Aryabhat and Ramanujan, then Dr. Omi Baba, because the one who actually gave the spark for for working on deep tech in India, right from the nuclear, and then gave this along with Vikram Sarabhai, we got a start for the space tech. So there are many actually, but I'm highly inspired by these people.
Are you aware of this series coming to Rocket Boys, which includes a biography of Homi Bhabha and Vikram Sarabhai?
To be honest, I'm not aware about this, but if it is going to be there, I'm definitely going to watch. I'm not a movie person or a series person. I don't watch a lot of movies or series. But if it is, then I would definitely like to watch along with my team. Yeah.
So it is a bit far fetched. I agree on that. But do you think that we might be living in a matrix or a simulation?
Okay. To be honest, it's a weird answer for this, but I do believe that we are a part of simulation. I'm not a right person to answer this because I'm almost most of the answers that you give should be based on some experiments you do or some empirical data. But sometimes we can just put our intuition out. So that is why I'm answering this. That what I believe is there are a lot of constants which are there. There are some universal constants which always surprise us that the way like we don't know who have defined this constant. There should be some reason behind them, right? And there are a lot of other things which are there in the universe which are very difficult to be defined by mathematics. So I think like to design this, one need to understand it, and we're not even designing, we're just discovering it, and still we're not able to understand it. So i think I think we are part of simulation, but still, as I'm saying that, don't take my words seriously for this. Uh, my intuition says that it's like we are a part of simulation.
So what are the factors that you keep in mind while finding a team member, and how do you deal with an underperforming member? Like, say, for example, a member is not performing well.
So the thing is, one particular skill that we always look forward for having is skill of self learning. So which is very much required. So if you just look at the team of SpaceX, then no one have an experience of going to Mars, right? They are doing it for the very first time. The only thing they need to do is to figure out things on their own, to learn, to build, to test, to get data, to you know, based on data, they can figure out what went wrong, what went right. Based on that, they can take the decision of redesigning and just making things more and more optimized. So this all can happen when you really have that interest, that passion, and when you're ready to self learn. So that is one thing we always look forward to. Second thing, if someone is underperforming, there can be either of two reasons, which is one is the lack of passion, and lack of purpose, uh, and the second is no good environment. So if it is the second case, one need to really work on the company's culture and figure out and find out that whether like if they were really passionate about things, but still they are not able to work. So you need to figure out what went wrong, and how can you have a very happy and healthy culture. But if you feel that a person is not passionate or have no sense of purpose for what work they're doing, you really need to communicate with them and ask them to find out their passion and work towards the right direction rather than just forcefully working in the wrong direction.
Okay, I understand that. So if, say, for example, you had to like disallow a team member to stay with you, or say, for example, not firing exactly, but if a team member had to leave, how would you feel?
Breakups always give you pain, but you cannot forcefully stay together, right? It's never going like it's going to be a toxic relationship. So uh, I think in that this is a similar scenario one can face, like when you're working in a company, like one individual person is working in a culture, it's and if they are not suitable for each other, I think they should get separated, and one individual should find a right culture for him or her to work, and even the company should focus towards getting right people on board who can get mixed with their culture. So it's 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 not from one side, it's going to be from both the sides, but like you cannot stay forcefully at a place and work there, right? It's never going to keep you happy or your team members happy. So it's going to be very smart decision.
Okay, so I got your answer. I was just like, I also wanted to ask that how you feel when a team member leaves, because every time the experience might be different depending on the team member as well. So I was curious about that.
Yeah, so it definitely hurts, but initially it was very difficult for me to actually take this pain of people leaving the team and you know, um, but but then you realize at some point that it's just you're not just like you it's just that professionally you're not together, but then you're still good friends, right? So like let's say you have an XYZ team member, and if they feel that that person is not suitable for the company's culture, you're not with them, but still you can be in contact with that person and help them in their personal life. So uh, having grudges or having you know problems in professional life should not affect into your personal relationship. So that is one thing we need to understand. So that it would always make us feel bad, but then it's going to be good for both, right? So
What do you think about the origin of life, or like how life originated?
if I answer this, I'll get a Nobel Prize. So
Yeah, like what's your point of view? Like obviously, like I'm not saying exactly as.
yeah, so one theory which suits the most is the unicellular organisms, right? A lot of people they believe that initially we got water, then we got the hydrocarbons which got formed, and then hydrocarbons resulted into the unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms, and that is how life evolved. So I think that is one of the theories which suits the most, and this is the only theory I think I have heard of, because I'm not much into this, but yes, I'm definitely curious about knowing how life got into existence on the earth, because this is fascinating. But I've never came across any other theory other than this.
How you are going to define life to a child in a future where like there's an AI robot and like he works exactly like humans. So how you're going to differentiate?
No matter how smart AI you build, you can still differentiate humans with them. That is, there are few feelings and emotions which robots it's very difficult to have. Like you know, uh, if you talk about the AI right now, it's similar to quantum computing. It's very early stage. So to inculcate emotions and that consciousness in robot, it's going to be very difficult task. And I think we call it emergence. And it's not like emergence is something which cannot be forbid, like based on the technology that we have got today. And that is why even if you create something which is very similar to humans, if you have the quantum teleportation possible, if you have a new human which is generated on the other side of the planet, but still you'll have the whole physical body, the hardware, but you won't have that consciousness copied. So I think consciousness and emergence is a thing which can differentiate humans and the AI based robots. But again, AI right now is at very early stage, so a long way to go for AI. So
So it is a bit off track, but I'd like to know because I'm curious about it. So what are your views on future of artificial intelligence and biotech, and what if they got merged along with aerospace and other industries?
I think this is a difficult one to answer because I've not done much research into biotech. But one thing I know is like Neuralink is something which is very close to this, and like space tech right now again, if you ask me for this decade, we still I think artificial intelligence and biotech into space tech is going to be really difficult, because this decade humans will be purely focusing towards making space flight commercials, and the second is taking humans to Mars. Whatever comes is going to be after that. So like we humans have evolved based on our Earth's environment, so for them it's going to be difficult to be there to sustain on Mars. I think biotech is going to help a lot in evolving a human in a way that they can sustain on other planets. I think it is already being done by people for Mars missions, but still I have not read much about it.
What do you think about the Martian? Once we are settled on Mars or something, humans will have this thing. We'll have a different kind of species, maybe because they are living on a different planet, and like even the scientists who live on ISS see changes in their lifestyle and working style, right? Like they get used to drinking water in zero gravity, and they get used to a lot of things. So like after a few generations, I think there will be different species called Martians. So what do you think about it?
Okay, as you mentioned, like just imagine a person staying in space for 6 months and coming back. It becomes really difficult for that person to even stand on his or her legs during just few initial days after returning. So you know, human body starts adopting the environment, and like if you talk about the Martians, I think it would be really difficult for them because of the gravity. On Mars, you have got very equal gravity than compared to Earth. Also about the environment where they are staying, like about the temperature, about the pressure, about the radiations they are exposed to. So it's going to be difficult. Another thing is challenge is going to be, the biological time, the actual, like Mars is far away in the solar system from the sun. So in compared to Earth, so time ticks differently there. So there are a lot of different effects which are going to be there.
Mhm.
Like it depends on the duration, of like till people are living there. But while returning, like after returning, it would be really difficult for Martians to actually get used to the Earth's atmosphere once again. But I think human body is adaptive. So if after staying here for 20 years or more than that, if you can adopt Martian atmosphere, so you can return back and you can again adopt Earth environment. So I
Mhm.
think it's not it's there are going to be some difficulties, but still I think body can adopt the change in the environment.
I want to ask you if you are interested in video games or not.
Video games.
Yeah. Do you play any?
I I used to be interested in video games before. In childhood, like I was a great fan of Super Mario
Mm.
and a lot of games. And like today, like at Star, like we have fun sessions. We have got breaks where we play a lot of online games. I wouldn't take name right now here, but yeah, we do play mobile games together, and that helps us in also improving our concentration power and and some games they also help you in building strategies. So
Mhm.
games are important, but one should not get addicted to them.
So I want to ask you, okay, which are your favorite Indian YouTube channels and like favorite YouTube channels all over the world? And you can name 5 to 6 or whatever number you have in your mind. So.
One of my favorite YouTube channels, Indian YouTube channels, is of Garib scientist who is doing a great work, communicating science with people. And then another one like Rocket Gyan is one of the channels which is focusing towards space education. Then we have Beer Biceps, Aaron Beer. So he is also doing amazing work into multiple domains. So these are the Indians, and for international, I think Veritasium, then Physics Girl, then Royal Institute, uh, then there are many actually. So these are the few channels which are actually very much useful for students as well.
Mhm. Okay, as we come to students, like what do you think, like how a school student can learn from you, and like what do you think about the like how a school student can learn from you and can build a similar career, like not exactly the same, but something similar to you. Maybe like listening to this podcast, he can know like what he needs to do in his life to get to the place where he can make it work.
So to be honest, no matter whether you are into school or college, focus on first figuring out your passion, whatever thing you are interested into, and then find out a purpose for your life. One ultimate problem of the world that you want to solve. This is what I always say, that
Mm.
when you start living a life with an intention to make this planet a better place to live for the upcoming generation, your life would be completely different. So figure out a problem and just start solving it. Never plan out many things. Focus on taking your first step and just do it, and don't be scared of taking decisions. Another thing is like build habits, good habits. It's very important. I always say that first you build habits and then habits builds you.
Mm.
So that is very much important. So and yes, keep learning. And last week, to be honest, last week was very difficult for me because I was like I was having some work, and that is I was not so able to learn new things. I like reading about quantum computing, quantum mechanics, electronics, about thermodynamics, different domains. Last 1 or 2 weeks were so challenging for me that I was not able to focus on doing these things. I was not getting time for reading these things. So that was making me feel very much uncomfortable. That the last 2 weeks I've not evolved even a little. So what I did is I took a break of a day and I again started learning new things. So I
Mm.
think once you are habituated with learning one thing in a day, at least one new thing in a day, you really feel uncomfortable the day when you don't learn anything. So that is a good thing actually. So yeah, try inculcating these things and you will definitely be really I'm not sure about whether you'll have a happy career or not, but you'll definitely be happy with your life.
Do you read books?
I don't read books which are related to startups or anything else. I just read books which are like I've read a couple of books just which are based on engineering. So one is for propulsion, and the second one I read is related to quantum computing. Otherwise, I don't read books. I like reading research papers. I really enjoy reading research papers, going to them and understanding the way the approach that the authors have used. So I prefer going for research papers rather than books.
Thanks for listening to Out Podcast. Follow us on Spotify and YouTube for more content like this, and like it to let the Spotify algorithm know that you liked our content. Till then, see you on another podcast or YouTube video of the Scientific Terran.